Infrastructure remains one of Africa's biggest challenges. The continent needs massive investments to build roads, expand energy access, and modernize water systems. Financing must address climate resilience and support the transition to the digital economy. At the Finance in Common Summit, the European Investment Bank pledged millions of dollars to support these efforts. The Development Bank of Southern Africa also signed a memorandum to boost rural development.
But the capital flow, and that is the crux of the thing, that the capital needs to flow to places where it's needed. That's the one thing. But the other key thing for me, is, which also talks to the capital flowing a lot less, is the question of originating projects and preparing projects to make sure that the capital finds that there's proper projects in place.
Africa's development needs are requiring urgent investment in infrastructure, climate solutions, and digital technology.
We are working very closely with the governments to understand their capabilities. We are not looking at the next 3 years. We are looking at the next 20. We are looking at the next 40. That's the right way of avoiding the issues with debt coming down the line.
The African Development Bank estimates that at least $130 billion is needed annually to build essential infrastructure. But financing comes at a steep cost. According to the Economic Commission for Africa, African economies lose at least 2% of their GDP every year, a burden that weighs heavily on citizens.
Because if you look at many developing economies, they're using over 50 or 60, 40% or thereabout of their annual budget to service debts. And we need now to find a relief around that, such that governments in these developing and emerging economies can have resources that can be used to address social investment programs to help solve health challenges and also improve educational outcomes, as it were.
South Africa alone requires an estimated $500 billion to upgrade its infrastructure.
We are not closing the gap. I mean, here in South Africa, an assessment of the infrastructure needs by 2020 to close the SDG gaps. And just the 4 network sectors, energy, transport, ICT, and water. The gap that we have identified, trillion rands, just to 2030, 2035.
It's a decade since United Nations Plan on Sustainable Development Goals was put in Africa. It has been steady but slow, and there's consensus at the Finance in Common Summit that much more needs to be done to address Africa's rebuilding and the challenges of poverty and inequality. Scheier, CGTN, Cape Town.